I didn't catch them by accident. That's the crazy part. I already knew something was off. I just didn't know how bad it was. It started small. Late replies. Weird energy. That, I'm just tired, tone that doesn't quite add up. And my best friend? He started acting different too. Not distant. Worse. Too normal. Like he was trying to act normal. You ever had that feeling? Like your brain is connecting dots you don't want it to connect? Yeah, that. At first, I told myself I was overthinking. Because let's be real, your girlfriend and your best friend? That's the one scenario your mind refuses to believe. But then one night, everything changed. She said she was going to sleep early. He said he was out with some guys. Cool. Normal. Except, both of their locations went off at the same time. Same minute. And I don't know why, but something in me just snapped into focus. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just drove. No music. No thoughts. Just this weird silence in my head, like I already knew what I was about to see. When I got there, the lights were off. But one window, barely open. And that's when I heard it. Laughter. Her laugh. And his voice. Right behind it. In that moment, everything slowed down. I had two choices. Walk away. Or find out the truth. I chose the truth. And what I saw next, it didn't just break me. It gave me an idea. An idea that would change all three of our lives. Forever. But before I tell you what I did next, you need to understand something. I didn't react the way you think I did. Not even close. Because instead of exposing them, I did something way worse. And it started the very next morning. The next morning, I acted normal. Too normal. I texted her first. Good morning. She replied instantly. Morning. That reply? Yeah, it almost made me laugh. Then I texted him. Bro, we still on for later? Of course, he said. Always. Always. That word hit different now. But here's where it gets weird. I didn't feel angry anymore. Not yet. I felt calm. Like I had stepped outside the situation and was watching it like a movie. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. They thought they had control. They thought I was clueless. And that gave me an advantage. So instead of confronting them, I started observing. Every move. Every lie. Every tiny detail. For a whole week. I watched how she'd smile at her phone, then act bored around me. How he'd joke with me, then disappear for hours. And slowly, a plan started forming. Not revenge. Something smarter. Something that would hit harder than any argument ever could. Because here's the truth most people don't understand. If you react emotionally, you lose. But if you stay quiet, you get time. And time lets you build something dangerous. By the end of that week, I knew everything. Their schedule, their patterns, their weakness. And that's when I made my move. Not by exposing them, but by bringing them closer. Yeah, I invited both of them out. Same place, same table, just the three of us. And what I said next, it shocked them. Because instead of calling them out, I offered them something they couldn't refuse. A business opportunity. And the crazy part? They said yes. Immediately. But what they didn't realize was this. That opportunity was the beginning of the end. They didn't even hesitate. That's what surprised me the most. The moment I said business, their eyes lit up. Not with suspicion, with interest. And right there, I knew I had them. You see, both of them always talked about making money, escaping the 9-to-5, doing something big. But they never had a real plan. I did. So I leaned in and said, I've been working on something. Quietly. And I need people I trust. Trust. I watched closely. No guilt. No hesitation. Just excitement. So I laid it out. An online business. Low startup cost. High potential returns. Simple. Clean. Attractive. And here's the twist. Everything I told them was real. This wasn't fake. It was a legit idea I had been holding on to. Which made it better. Because now, they weren't just walking into a trap. They were building something valuable. By the end of that meeting, roles were set. He handled operations. She handled marketing. I oversaw everything. Perfect setup. At least, that's what they thought. Because behind the scenes, I was building control. Not obvious. Subtle. Accounts in my name. Access points only I could change. Decisions that looked shared, but weren't. Weeks passed. The business started growing. Money came in. And the more it grew, the more relaxed they became. Careless. Then it happened. A small mistake. So small, they ignored it. But for me, it was everything. Because that one mistake gave me the power to take it all. And they had no idea it had already begun. At first, I almost missed it. That's how small the mistake was. We were reviewing numbers late one night. Sales were up. Engagement was climbing. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. So I started digging deeper. Not because I suspected anything new, but because something felt off. And then I saw it. A transaction. Nothing crazy. Just a transfer that didn't match our records. Different account. Different timing. But here's the part that mattered. It was connected to them. Both of them. Same pattern. Same timing. Same quiet coordination. And suddenly, everything clicked. They weren't just lying to me in the relationship. They were starting to move behind my back in the business too. Testing boundaries. Seeing what they could get away with. And that's when I realized something dangerous. They thought they were getting smarter. But really, they were getting comfortable. And comfort? That's where people slip. So I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I let it continue. Yeah, I watched as they made more small moves. Tiny adjustments. Little side decisions. Things they thought I wouldn't notice. But I noticed everything. Every login. Every transfer. Every late-night message they thought was hidden. And while they were busy feeling clever, I was documenting. Building a case. Piece by piece. Because now, this wasn't just personal anymore. This was strategy. And the more they crossed the line, the stronger my position became. Until one day, they crossed it too far. A move so bold. It changed everything. Because in that moment, I stopped observing. And I finally decided. It was time to act. But the way I did it, it didn't involve shouting. Or exposing them. It was quieter than that. Colder. And way more permanent. Because what I did next didn't just hurt them. It erased them. I didn't make the move immediately. That's what most people get wrong. They think revenge is about timing. It's not. It's about precision. So I waited. Another week. Maybe two. Long enough for them to feel safe. Long enough for them to believe they were in control. By then, the business was doing real numbers. Daily sales. Returning customers. Momentum. And more importantly, dependency. They were relying on it. On the income. On the growth. On the future we were building. That's when I knew. If I pulled the plug too early, it would hurt. But if I waited, it would crush. So I prepared. Quietly. Every account, secured. Every password, updated. Every backup, copied. Legal ownership, already in my name. From day one. They just never noticed. Then came the final step. The one that made everything irreversible. I scheduled a full system transition. New payment routes. New access controls. New structure. All under me. All locked. And I did it on a random Tuesday. No warning. No announcement. Just switch. That morning, everything worked like normal. By afternoon, nothing. Access denied. Accounts locked. Funds frozen, on their end. Mine, safe. Untouched. I watched the messages come in. First confusion. Then panic. Bro, I can't log in. Did something happen? Why is everything down? I didn't reply. Not immediately. I let it sit. Let the pressure build. Because for the first time, they felt what I felt that night. Uncertainty. Confusion. That sinking feeling in your chest. And when I finally responded, it wasn't emotional. It wasn't loud. It was one message. Clear. Direct. And impossible to ignore. But what I said in that message, that's what broke them. And what they did next, I didn't expect. I let them panic for hours. Not minutes. Hours. By the time I replied, they had already called me multiple times. Sent long messages. Voice notes. Excuses. I ignored all of it. Then I sent one message. I know everything. That was it. No explanation. No emotion. Just truth. And instantly, everything changed. The calls stopped. The messages slowed. Then came the response. First from him. Bro, it's not what you think. Classic. Then from her. It didn't mean anything. That one almost made me laugh. Because now, they weren't talking about the business anymore. They knew. And for the first time, they realized I wasn't behind. I was ahead. Way ahead. I didn't argue. Didn't insult them. I just sent proof. Screenshots. Transactions. Logs. Everything. Not all at once. One by one. Slowly. Like I was peeling back layers they thought were hidden forever. And you could feel it through the screen. That moment when denial turns into silence. They stopped defending. Stopped explaining. Because there was nothing left to say. That's when I sent the second message. The business is no longer yours. Straight. Final. Done. No negotiation. No discussion. And here's the part that really hit them. They couldn't do anything about it. No access. No control. No legal claim. Nothing. Everything they helped build was gone. Just like that. And for a moment, there was silence. Then she sent one last message. Not anger. Not apology. A question. Why didn't you just leave? And that question? That's when it all came full circle. Because the answer wasn't simple. It wasn't about money. It wasn't even about revenge. It was something deeper. Something they still didn't understand. And what I told them next. That was the real ending. I read her message twice. Why didn't you just leave? Simple question. But the answer? Not simple at all. I could have left that night. Walked away. Blocked them. Started over. That would have been easy. But easy doesn't teach anything. And it definitely doesn't close anything. So I replied. Not fast. Not emotional. Just honest. Because walking away would have given you peace. Pause. And I didn't want peace. I wanted closure. That hit. I could tell. Because after that, there were no excuses. No lies. Just silence. And for the first time since all of this started, everything felt clear. Not heavy. Not angry. Just done. You see, it was never really about taking the business. That was just the method. What I actually took was control. Control of the situation. Control of the ending. Control of myself. Because the truth is, they didn't just betray me. They underestimated me. And that's what cost them everything. Weeks later, I heard they tried to start something new. Together. It didn't last. Funny how that works. Because trust? Once it's broken like that, it doesn't rebuild. It collapses. Quietly. Completely. And me? I kept growing the business. Alone. Bigger than it ever was with them. Not to prove a point, but because now, there was nothing holding me back. So if you're watching this and you've ever been betrayed, listen carefully. You don't always need to react. You don't always need to fight. Sometimes, the strongest move you can make is to stay quiet. Think, and make your next move count. Because not all revenge is loud. Some of it is just inevitable.